Hello, it is Eric Gross with Magical Moves. I am a licensed realtor and Orlando native, and I'm excited to join you today and talk a little bit about the difference between Clermont, Florida versus Winter Garden, Florida. And if you've joined our Facebook group, Magical Moves, I posted a bunch of questions. I asked our members, what do you want to see? What content, what questions do you have about moving to Orlando? And guess what the number one question was? It was, what's the difference between Clermont and Winter Garden? So let's get started. To start it off, both are on the west side of Orlando, so they're close to each other. They're literally the next city over. But Clermont's probably going to have a $50,000 to $75,000 price reduction compared to what that same home would be in Winter Garden. I think both are great options if you want to be close to Disney. I'd say probably both areas, Clermont and Winter Garden, are going to be, I'd say no more than 35 minutes from Disney, and probably Winter Garden's closer to 40 minutes from downtown Orlando, and Clermont maybe 50 in rush hour, maybe a little bit more. But I think both are really, really, really cool areas to live in. So the first thing I thought of when I thought about the difference between the two cities would have to be Winter Garden has a lot more charm. So Winter Garden's been on everyone's radars for a really long time. And I think it's because there's a lot of really natural just community and culture that emanates, I guess, from the city and the people that live there. And I think when you take a walk and you look through this area, I really think you'll understand. It's kind of hard to explain in video, but if you're walking down the cobblestone streets and you see like these artisan coffee shops and fun restaurants and really cool breweries, and there's even like a cheese store that's really good. That's just kind of the quaintness you get with Winter Garden. So you're really going to find a sense of community and vibrancy when you're there. One of the coolest parts of the area is Plant Street. So if let's say you're on downtown Plant Street, which is the main drag of Winter Garden, there's a lot of shops, and that's where the old historic downtown area is. And when you're there, it really feels like you're in small town America. I even mentioned in the article that accompanies this that it feels like you're in Celebration, or the vibe Celebration gives off, without like the pre-program feel that you get from living in Celebration. So it just kind of naturally arose, I think, Winter Park. Like it really just has its own feel, and it doesn't feel manufactured or pre-programmed, which I think is really cool. It just has that natural charm. I think the next biggest thing I thought of was, you probably heard me mention this before, but Clermont has a lot more hills. And if you know anything about me, I love like hills, and I just like really nice scenery. I grew up here in Orlando, and it's just really hard to come by. I live over in Lake Nona, as you probably know, and it's just very flat, low-lying swamplands. That's most of what Orlando is. And if you head over to West Orlando, you'll start seeing that in Winter Garden. You'll see maybe a few hills, but I think you'll know when you get to Clermont, because you'll see it before anything else. There's hills. It's one of the highest points in Orlando, and I think the peninsula of Florida as well. It's really kind of really surprising. I grew up in Kissimmee, and I'm just so used to flat that I thought that it's just a really nice change of scenery. Whenever I'm selling a home there, or I'm in the area for showings, or home inspection or whatever, it's kind of a nice little break. So that was my second thing that I thought was a big difference between the two. And then next, I'd have to say Winter Garden is a little bit more expensive. I kind of touched on that earlier, but yeah, you're going to pay more to live in Winter Garden, and for the same size home and same quality of home compared to Clermont, because it's just more valuable land. More people want to live there. It's a little bit closer to town. It's got that it factor of charm and a lot of restaurants and shopping, and you just won't get that other places. You won't get that in Clermont. Clermont has more big box stores, which is super convenient if that's your jam. I probably visit big box stores 80% of the time rather than mom and pop stores, which I know I should frequent more, but there's just a lot of cool shops in Winter Garden, and you're going to pay more for that convenience of both location wise and just the commercial restaurants and shops that are there. It's just a little bit bar above. the Clermont area. And location-wise, Winter Garden, I'd say depending on where you're at, it's a really big area. That's probably about 20-ish minutes from Disney, whereas Clermont's closer to 35. Winter Garden is a really huge area. If you look at it on a map, it's right next to the lake, but it actually stretches all the way down 429, all the way to Disney. But it's in some parts of Winter Garden, if you look at the Hamlin Horizons West area, that's technically a part of Winter Garden within billing code or zip code. So if you get something in the mail addressed and you live in Hamlin, it's going to be addressed from Winter Garden. And some of the spots are 5 to 10 minutes from Disney on the west side. So if you were to enter Disney on the Western Way, you'll be right there. It's really cool. This place just popped up within the last 10 years or so too. So you're going to get really beautiful homes, nice new homes, maintenance-free homes, which is important. And it's just something to consider. Something to consider too is if you live on Highway 27, which is in Clermont, that's the main drag to go north and south. That is really separate from 429, which is where Winter Garden is. And in the future, there's a lot of roads that are going to connect these two areas. So I can't forecast the future of real estate. That's illegal. But I can't think it would be bad for the area. I really can't. I think it's going to be really beneficial. If your home price doesn't go up, at least you'll be closer to Winter Garden. So, I think there's some really cool advantages there. But that's it. That's all I've got for you for the difference between Clermont and Winter Garden. I hope you found this helpful. If you are interested in more information, we have a whole website dedicated to pretty much what you just watched. We've got, what it's like buying a home here, the differences in a Florida home versus other homes. We've got videos, blogs, articles. We also have a Facebook group for people like you that are looking to move to Orlando. It's called the Magical Moves Group. I'll link that below. And we also share home tours on our Instagram, and it's all a no pressure situation. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you subscribe, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks.